Hello,
Alrighty.
people, we are live. We're here
So
with
we're on
Tom.
Insta here. We're on Facebook here.
there.
So
We're here in Tom's studio recording a live video. It's more like a bachelor pad. It's totally rad.
okay. So you obviously have been able to work out very early on in the rant that it is Rap Week. The time that Susan does the Sunday night rant. Welcome, Gavin Rubenstein. You are the king, my friend. Good to see you, brother. I've been watching you. I felt like I'm on the harbour myself seeing those photos today. Hello,
Hi,
Chrissy.
Chrissy.
Hey, Richard Mavisian. How are you, my good friend? Hello, James. Bassam, how you going? Sally. Now, it's Rap Week, as Sally says.
It's Rap
So, how are you, Susan?
Sanjay's on. Sanjay, hello. Your brain is like an information superhighway. You put a network of masterminds in. You're the glue that binds them. Knowledge of scriptures in their armor. And this part I stole from Eminem's raps because it was so perfect. Because your last name is Gandhi. God, please, would you arm me with the armor to calm me with the drama like Gandhi could have gone the other way so many times. And him speaking at Sanjay Fest was an honor. He called you his brother. I'm officially welcoming you to the family, Sanjay.
Okay, Sanjay, my welcome is, hey, good to see you.
Luke St.
Susan's
Clair.
welcome, Luke St. Clair from the UK, two people from the UK.
Luke St. Clair from the UK. Luke St. Clair from the UK, Knightsbridge Estate. You're the director. And you have your own property market podcast, Leicester. But you won't accept anything lesser. And when they ask you to cut your commissions, because service is what you've been missing. This lesson is not a talent audition, filled with ambition. You're a humanitarian on a mission. You're on a super advisory team and changing people's cognitions. I got a premonition that I'll see you at the ARIC exhibition.
Fucking unbelievable. Susan, you've got to be the most un-Chinese person I know.
It appears so.
Patrick
Ear, hello. Sorry to interrupt you. Patrick Ear, you're also always so sincere. You got more than just a career. At Crown Realty, you shaved your head for charity. Got featured on TV, became a personality. You always have such altruistic tendencies, especially when you're helping the elderly cross the streets. When you're not working, you're eating sashimi, drinking green tea, and sipping on miso soup in your business suit with you and Luke, slurping ramen noodles. But it's all good because you're both so cool, though.
Fucking, this is great. So, Susan, have you got any more people?
Yes, I have Matthew Everingham and Joy Lycus.
Okay, well, I saw Joy come on.
Oh, Joy's
on.
Joy's on. Joy like this. I hope that you will like this, yeah. Because I got a feeling that $1 million is what you will write this, yeah. You got the touch of Midas. Everything you would touch is worth more than gold. Because your heart's always filled with kindness and your intentions can light of lighters.
Smack it down, Susan. That's Jay Lee. Is that sort of rap talk? Smack it down?
Yeah, that's... Well, in fact, you know what? Like, rap actually helps you break down the daily routine. So you actually come up with new thoughts and ideas. You know the Mel Robbins 5-second rule? That's where the prefrontal cortex is. So rap actually activates the prefrontal cortex, and it's where decision and organization and motivation actually takes place. So when you activate those areas, you're actually helping yourself to make better decisions. And when freestyle rappers were on fMRI scans, they actually discovered that whilst those parts of the brain, the prefrontal cortex was more activated, the other parts of the brain that were associated with self-awareness and what was the part of the brain called? It was called dorsal regions associated with self-control monitoring were actually less centered, which means you're more likely to give less a fuck to what other people think about. So even if so my point is, rap is like it's like a push goal for me. So it creates a domino effect, right? Because it helps you to become more creative. So you come up with new ideas, and it's like you could be in the traffic. Like, and I encourage everyone to do it.
Do you smoke marijuana?
No, I don't. I take cold showers.
Okay.
You just take cold showers. So what you do is you could be like in the traffic jam, right? So you could be like, I'm in the traffic jam, yo, come save me, Charlie's Angels.
Okay, you got Maddie Everingham, I think, came on.
Maddie Everingham. Oh, you're the owner and director of Richard Matthews in Strathfield. You started the junior, and this would have been all too surreal. Helping people gives you extra thrills. Booking listings. Your books have listings filled. VP advertising classic fields. Selling homes with classy fields. Timber and classic smells with frosty window sills. Even in winter, you still win the sale.
Fucking beauty. It's classified, it's not classified.
Well, I can say whatever I
And
want.
that upset you because it didn't actually go with your rap song. And you asked me before the rap, you actually said to me, how do you actually say this? Is it classifieds or classifieds? I said it's classifieds, but you continue to actually choose to how you want the word to sound.
That's right, because I could choose to do whatever I want to do.
Beautiful. So, guys and girls, cold showers. There's, what's the deal with cold showers?
Oh, shit! We dropped the mic.
Okay.
And later on, we're gonna we drop the light, and then we're gonna drop the mic. But we're all good though, so we're back on track.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry, Insta. We're back on.
We're back on track.
Okay.
With this rap.
So Susan.
She doesn't have a heart attack.
So Susan, a couple of questions. Rap. How long has rap been an interest of yours?
Since November.
Since November.
Since November,
okay.
Yes.
And just a little bit more, because I'm interested to have people know a little bit more about you. You became a vegan when?
2 to 3 years now.
Okay. And why did you choose to become a vegan?
Okay. 2 things I learned when you become vegan. Number one is, the first thing is everyone should become vegan. And then the second thing you learn is not everyone can become vegan. And so when you stop imposing your own personal beliefs on other people and you just become a role model, people are more likely to listen and to be more receptive towards you.
Because for a while you became like this crusader. I remember, everyone you'd speak to, I would just say, give it 30 seconds and she's going to tell. I mean, you even actually told a person on the phone once that when he said he was going to go eat a steak, you actually said to him, now, Susan, listen to it very carefully. This was a business call. This was a business call, and Susan was in the car, and she said to the person, that is an erection killer. That is an erection killer. This is what she actually said to the guy.
We actually know this person, though, so
You've never met him, Susan.
You know him.
You have never met the person.
It doesn't matter, you know him.
And you told a person you've never met on the phone that he was going to go have a ribeye steak, and you said, good on you, enjoy it. That's an erection killer.
Yeah.
Anyway. And so Susan...
I hope that meeting went well afterwards.
It wasn't really a meeting. It was more of a conversation. Anyway, guys and girls, this was Susan. We're going to have you back again very soon to welcome more people. Well, is there anything else you want to share with us before I move on to...
Well, Tanja Jones is watching. Tanja Jones.
Where's Tanja's one?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I have it in my head. Tanja Jones, someone with this woman a throne. She has magic healing powers. She can make weeds believe they were flowers. Deserts cause rain showers. Dial-up become internet high-speed routers for your internet. She helps you become interconnect and intersect with the only thing that can truly help is yourself.
Fucking unbelievable.
Right.
So that's outstanding. Susan, on that note,
thank you very much.
I want to thank you again for your time, and you'll go in and summarize a few of the things that we're talking about now.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. Everyone give her a big round of applause. Thumbs up, love hearts, things, whatever. And now, gang, we're going to move on to education and less entertainment. But you would have to admit, look, Susan, you should see all the thumbs up they're giving. Unbelievable. Guys and girls, do us a favour. If you like what you heard, you know how important it is for us to share the love. Press that share button. And I'm about to give you guys and girls a business lesson. Now, I want to be very clear. The stuff I'm going to talk to you about, I wish when I was 18 years of age, someone had sat me down and said, listen to me for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to give you 9 things they won't teach you at university, 9 things you won't get some, professional trainer or coach that's going to come in and tell you this stuff, because it's unorthodox. And unless you live it, you'll never learn it. So what I'm going to do is try and give you my years of experience. And I have to say to you that many of you know me as the guy that, does auctions, the guy that does a bit of sky business of TV, the guy that does the real estate gym. But for around 15 years, I was an executive at News Corporation, and I have an agreement and a relationship with both News Corp and realestate.com. So in many ways, whilst I'm not an executive there, I'll be there tomorrow where I do, Sky Business, and I'll have a number of meetings with people. But what I can say to you is that during the time I was there, I ran, a very profitable division of News Corp. At its highest, I think over $400 million in revenue per year. So just picture, you wake up at the start of the month and you pretty much have to look at getting, by the end of the month, $30 to $40 million in revenue. Some months, obviously, it's weighted more, particularly the fact that it was a real estate category and that we clearly know that, September, October, November mean more than June, July, August. But essentially, what I'm going to give you is 9 lessons, whether you're in small business, whether you're a corporate person, whoever you are, I'm going to give you 9 tactical responses. Some people might call them rituals. Some people might call them hacks. I simply call them 9 lessons I learnt in business. So let's move on. To Insta, if you're liking what you hear, tag someone, because I can tell you, for many people here, it's probably going to be worth more valuable than a 3-year Bachelor of Economics degree. And I'm going to say, I've got nothing against degrees. I've got nothing against degrees. And in fact, I would urge anyone that has an opportunity to do a degree. I simply don't think that having an honours degree is going to do fucking too much for your career in the new world that we live in. Gone is you walk in with high distinctions and credits and sit in front of someone and they say, we're going to look after you, you're going to work in this organisation, you're going to be part of Commonwealth Bank, you're going to be part of Macquarie Bank or whatever, and you're going to be here for the next 20, 30 years. That game is done and it's finished. Everyone now must become what I call an employee entrepreneur. So let me move on and just tell you, I'll just move this a little bit there. I'll just tell you lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 I learned is this, is that honours degrees are overrated. In fact, I'll tell you all degrees are overrated. And what I mean by that is, talent is overrated. The person with the highest IQ is overrated. What I'm going to be teaching you here today is that there are certain things that require zero talent. Zero talent. And let me run through those things. Number 1 that requires zero talent is being on time. No talent is needed for that. Number 2 is work ethic. No talent needed for that. Number 3 is effort. No talent needed at that. Number 4 is body language. You don't need to actually be super talented or gifted. Number 5, energy. Again, it is not something that you're going to learn at university. It is not something that you're going to have that you are actually born with. This is something that can be coached into people. The next one is your attitude. You have got total control of your attitude. The next one is your passion. The next one is whether you are coachable as a person. Are you someone that is receptive and open to learning? I'm telling you straight, 9 to 5 is going to make you a living from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's where you make a legacy. The next one is doing extra. Again, that is something that, is not a talent. That is, it requires zero talent. And the next one is, let me just think. I can't even fucking think of it, Susan. I had it in my head. Being punctual, being on time. Guys and girls, by the way, can someone, as this is going on, hey Candace, can someone fill me in as the tennis is going on? I've got the tennis on in the background. I'm really keen to find out, whether he's won. By the way, it is Kyrgios that everyone is going for, and we want this guy to win the Australian Open, and that game is on as we speak. I think they've probably played the first game. So I'm going to say to you, as a leader, as an executive at News Corp, may I say to you this. So they're in a fucking tiebreaker. So in the first set, we've got a tiebreaker. Phoebe, good to see you. 6-all first set. That must have been that must have been fast. Okay. So 6-all. And they're watching the cricket there. Okay. So lesson number two that I learned. By the way, here's a lesson. Hire for attitude and train for skill. That's the motto of lesson number 1. Hire for attitude and train for skill. That is the absolute, lesson that comes out of the first one. Let me move on to lesson number 2. Spreadsheets can be bullshit. Listen to me. Spreadsheets can be bullshit. And what I mean by that is behind the numbers in a profit and loss report, behind the numbers in a revenues report, there can be absolute bullshit because there's a story behind the numbers. And I'll explain to you. For instance, at News Corp, I could easily have a high revenue number coming in because what we had done is had adjusted the rate. So you could turn around and say, we're going to drop the rate on a particular product across Australia, and dropping the rate means that it's a cheaper page price, or anything that you're selling, you just drop the rate. And what actually happens is that when you drop the rate, you have more revenue coming in, but what actually happens is that profitability goes down. So someone that's got a revenue number can look like, hey, look at these numbers. But at the end of the day, how profitable is that product, right? And the issue is that when sometimes you used to adjust the rate on a product, you're actually creating a problem, because if a product becomes the key product in your category, what happens is if that product gets a cold, right, or the whole business gets sick because it becomes dependent on that. And we used to actually use the term, when that sneezes, the whole business gets sick. I'll give you another example of how spreadsheets can bullshit. You can actually have, a really good profit and loss report, right? You can have a really good profit and loss report. So the profit looks great. But the reason why the profit looks good is that you actually increased your rates to customers significantly that year. And even though your report looks good and you look like a superstar, what people don't see is the damage, because you've pissed off a number of customers in the market. And what these customers have done is that they've grouped together and they're saying, we're pissed off about that decision. And even though your numbers look good, they might be planning a revolt, or alternatively, another company comes along and they can see that there is massive profits in that product. And what they do is they launch a product in the marketplace. And there was always competition, and the main competition in the world of publishing was always between News Corp and Fairfax. So what I'm saying there is that sometimes a profit and loss report or a company's profits look absolutely fantastic. But what they're not measuring, so they're measuring quantitative, but they're not measuring qualitative. And that is this a sound decision for the business in the long run? Or is someone else going to pay a price? This is a very important thing that people must understand in business. And this happens a lot of the time. CEOs, the world of CEOs is really interesting, because a CEO comes along in an organization, and what they actually get a salary, but they also get what is called a short-term commission scheme, or they call it STI, short-term incentive scheme. So Phoebe Cook is telling us we've got a set point, keeping our fingers crossed that, well, it doesn't look good. Dimitrov's up 6-3 in the tiebreaker, and that is not good. He'll probably be going down a set down if he doesn't win the next few points. First set, what have we got here? The first set has gone to Kyrgios. That is great news. Rob McGregor has told us 1-0 in the first set. Well done, Kyrgios. Okay, thank you, Marie. So what actually happens? Let me get back to what goes on with CEOs. So just picture this. I've got to stay on track here. A CEO comes on board, Susan. This is what goes on. A CEO comes on board and they're remunerated by a base salary, but they're always remunerated by what is called an STI. Now, if you go and have a look at, annual reports of companies, you can actually see what CEOs and directors get paid. So the issue, okay, we've made an error. Dimitrov has won the first set. Fuck. Okay, that's all right. Okay, early days. And as they say, that is the first chapter, and this book's got 5 chapters. So a CEO starts, and then what they do is they want to make a high profit because their short-term incentive scheme is heavily built on profitability. And what happens is that they make some decisions to create more profits in the short term, because what this CEO is thinking is that what they want to do is get their short-term bonus. But the issue is that a lot of CEOs are not in the company for 20 or 30 years. So what they do is they're making a short-sighted decision to get their incentive, which in many times their incentive can be far higher than their salary. So what happens is that the company then is stuck with decisions that were made by a short-term CEO that has long-term ramifications. Thank you, Peter. Peter's at the actual Australian Open. So guys and girls, I'm telling you, always remember that the Excel spreadsheet that's got the profit and loss report can actually look good, but can actually be very damaging. I want to move on to the next lesson. Lesson number 3 is this: that the marketplace plus your effort equals success. And what I mean by that is sometimes your numbers can be good, not because of what you've done, but you've been riding the marketplace. And what actually happens is when the market's good, you can be riding it. You might be fucking bludging. You might be really incompetent at your job. You might actually have a shit team in place at the time. But what actually happens is the total market is good. And what happens is that you're benefiting out of the market. But here's the problem. When the market goes down, you're fucked. Because what's actually happened is your market share was down, but your profits look good. And there's a great saying, and it says, only when the tide goes down do you know who has been caught swimming naked. I'll repeat it. Only when the tide goes down do you realize who was swimming naked. And I think that is a Warren Buffett quote. And what we're saying is when the shit goes down, that's when you work out who's true and who's fake. So guys and girls, thank you, Luke. It is Warren Buffett. That is lesson number 3. That don't sometimes think when things are good, it's because you're good. And conversely, there are other times when you're putting in heaps of effort, but the marketplace is shit. But that's okay, because what's actually happening is you're improving your market share. And when the total market goes up, you benefit, because if you've gone from a market share of 20% to 30%, what actually happens is when the market goes up, you're picking an extra 10% on total market. And I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit too fast and using some terms for people that aren't in the world of, say, publishing or in a corporation. And I know that I've got a big real estate audience, but it's the same with a real estate person. When the market's good and there's more transactions in the marketplace, you might only have a low market share, but you get by. But when fucking things toughen up and there's less transactions, that's when you get fucked. And that's why I say good agents win when markets turn. Let's move on. Lesson number 5. Lesson number 5 is this: girl power, girl power, girl power. And what I mean by that is this. Like, I'm a guy's guy. Don't get me wrong. My preference is if I want to go out and have a good night, I love going out with guys, having a beer, watching sport. Most of the people I speak to on a real regular basis are guys. But I'm fucking smart enough to know that in my life, in the corporate world, I just noticed, and this is a generalized statement, because I've had great guys, Billy Demu, who, joins the Rant sometimes, and, I've had good people. But in general, I find that with girls, with females, they generally underestimate themselves. And what they do is that they worked harder, and they got high EQ, and they care, and they spend less time playing fucking political, games. And what I notice is that girls generally underestimate their abilities, and guys generally overestimate their abilities. So for me, that they've been this hidden weapon in the marketplace. And I have to say to you, I had, like most of my life, the managers that I had around me were females. I know that, I think of, Phoebe, who's on here. I think of Nicole. I think of, Dee. I think of Fiona. I think of Angie Dunn. Angie was with me like from day one. I remember I actually went and poached Angie sitting at a real estate office while she was working for Telstra trying to sell me a product, and I actually just got onto her straight away. And Angie was with me for, I think like a decade. So I just know that for me, girls are a hidden group of people. And I haven't when you hear, like in the corporate world, girls screw themselves to get to the top. I actually never, ever saw that. I never, ever saw that. Guys and girls, all I'm saying is, I think in the years to come, people are seeing what I saw 10 years ago, and girls are amazing value in the corporate world. Amazing. Okay. So let me move on to number 6. Number 6 is an interesting one, because number 6 is not a lesson as much as it is a character. And I can't help it that one of the most important characteristics of all is courage. And the reason I say it, that when you move into working into a corporation, there are legacies that are in place. There's just these norms that are there. Part of it are set there by the culture. All right. So what you've got is you've got these, rituals and habits, and culture has created the way things are done around there. And no one's really thought in recent times why they're done. And there's a term called zero-based thinking. And zero-based thinking says, if these things weren't being done before and you were starting back from zero, would you actually start these things? Do they actually serve a purpose? So a lot of things have got expiry dates. And what actually happens is it takes courage for someone to come in and say, why the fuck are we doing that? Who does it make happy? How does it help the customer? And it takes courage, because people are madly in love with the way that they're doing things. And what you got to remember is what got you here won't get you there. And no one wants to muck around with the status quo. And that's why I say it takes courage. And courage is about the following. Courage is about doing the right thing, not the popular thing. And that's why I say I wish I'd learnt this at an earlier age, that the person that has the most courage seems to take the most calculated risks. And that is the person that wins in the end. So I want to move on to lesson number 7. And lesson number 7 is this. Listen to this. This one's my favorite. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. I'll say that again. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. And what this is all about is that when you play the long game, the benefits of the long game actually come at a later time. And what happens is that they keep coming, and people get the benefit of them for ages and ages and ages. So when I moved into my first role in media in 2006, I moved into looking after, the company was called FPC, and they had a publication called the Wentworth Courier, the Inner West Courier. They had a Vogue magazine. But I used to look after real estate. And I was fortunate enough that when I went in there, they had contracts in place. And these contracts went for years, where a client would, commit up to 75% of their volume for a lower rate, or a rebate where it was allowed to have a rebate. In certain parts of Australia that wasn't allowed. And what actually happened is that I got the benefit of going in, and I had this guaranteed revenue coming into me without being too worried that it would, I'd wake up one day and it would be gone. Now, what we clearly know is organisations every day, let's talk about, the classifieds business, which I know well, like organisations like Seek, Car Sales and realestate.com.au are examples of organisations that get, the benefit of sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. And don't get me wrong, these organisations have to keep evolving, be innovative, and the one that I know, of course, is realestate.com, who, a lot of people, criticise that organisation, but I've got to tell you, when you actually look at the return of investment that they give, a real estate agent, particularly when it's vendor paid, you turn around and think to yourself, hang on a second, they're actually a critical and important part of my business. But they still, like Car Sales and Seek, have had this first move advantage of becoming a brain tattoo in the marketplace. So in automotive, and in employment and in real estate, we know that these three businesses are really difficult to dislodge. So, gang, the point I'm making is this. That a great leader is going to make decisions for the long term, and that you will have the benefit of these long after they were made. I want to move on to lesson number 8, and that is, act like an executive, but think like a customer. Act like an executive, but think like a customer. And what I mean by that is that you've got to swap the fucking boardroom on the 20th floor that's got harbour views, because you won't learn anything about the fucking customer sitting around with a bunch of other executives fucking talking about what you think the customer wants. What you'll learn is sitting in the office with the customer, and you've got to think like the customer, because you've got to follow the money trail. You've got to follow the money trail. And I've got to, and I clearly remember me screwing up badly in around 2005 when I came up with a strategy that what we should do is have all the, have 32 houses in an advertisement, and that what you would do is you would allow a client in one part of Sydney to be using another publication to be putting those properties in there. And I remember going out to a client and saying, hey, look at this great idea, the client said, I don't like it. And I said, no, but trust me, Michael, it's good for you. It's good for you. And he said, I don't care whether it's good for me. That's like saying to me, broccoli is good for me. Eat the broccoli. I don't want the broccoli, Tom. And that's when I realized that, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you think. What matters is what the customer thinks. And, Billy Deem, who's online, and he understands very well what I mean by this, because he's one of the client-centric managers that was at News Corp with me. And that is that you always must remember, solve the customer's problem. Sure, you've got to act and fit in with the culture of an organization, but you must always begin and say, what keeps the customer up at night? Very important. Act like an executive, but think like a customer. To the point that I've got to tell you, when I was at News Corporation full time as an executive, I used to walk in and out, and I looked like a bit of a backpacker in many ways. Like, I would sit, at a cafe and do my work, and I never really immersed myself And in many ways, I thought to myself, this is going to be detrimental for me. This is going to be, the fact that I'm not going to be playing, corporate politics is going to affect my career, but it didn't affect my career one bit at all. And at all times, at the relationship at News Corp, I've got to tell you, I had every one of my managers were always gutted and devastated when they had an inkling that I was going to go. So, gang, let me just assure you, think like the customer. Think like the customer. And that leads me to lesson number 9. And lesson number 9 says this: fuck the market research agencies. They want to suck your money dry. Fuck them. I've got to tell you, you want to do market research? All you got to do is this. Go and sell. Go and sell the product before you have the product. And if the client buys the product, go back and quickly fucking develop the product. Because the only way you're going to find out whether something is going to work in the market is whether a client fucking buys it, right? And if you go and do market research and the market researchers go and say, hey, would you think, would you buy something like this? Or what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? Man, at the end of the day, clients will just tell you, yeah, I like that, yeah. They just want to fucking finish the questionnaire. It's not until the client says, yes, I'll buy that they have to have skin in the game. So what I say, no matter, anyone that's listening to here, you got a fucking business. You got a business? Hey, I say you want to work out about a product? Go off and try and sell it. If someone buys it, say, okay, give me a week and go and fucking produce it because you're on a winner. Okay, guys and girls, I am going to let you know that tomorrow, Real Estate Gym members, 11 o'clock, we have got our Blast Off Real Estate 2018 webinar. John McGrath and I are going to run through what you need to know to succeed, and it is part inspiration, it is part skills, it is part planning. 11 o'clock, we have got our webinar. All Real Estate Gym members, you'll have an email and you'll log in. If you are not a Real Estate Gym member, Susan, can they sign up to the Real Estate Gym? It's open. They can. Go to realestategym.com.au. Susan will pin the URL in the comments section and you can see it. But guys and girls there, I'm also pleased to let you know that we are bringing on, for the Real Estate Gym members only, a real estate rant. And I'm going to work out whether it's going to be fortnightly or it's going to be monthly. There you go, Susan. You've pinned it. You've done it. Exactly. Beautiful. So she has pinned it there. We are going to be having a real estate rant for Real Estate Gym members where I am just going to be doing real estate stuff. Real estate, because I want to make sure that we deliver incredible value for the value of the 3 coffees that my members pay per week. Guys and girls, that is it. They are the 9 lessons that I learned in the world. And let me just say, it is now second set to all. Guys and girls, Lisa, Mark, good to see you all. I want to finish on that rant. To those of you that are watching it on delay, tag someone if you thought it was good on Insta, tag someone on Facebook, share it. And I want you to remember what Warren Buffett once said, and that is, people pay a price, but it is value that they get. You want to get paid more? Deliver more value. Be a value-added provider. Show more, do more, give more. Thank you. God bless.